It's melting. Good morning, welcome back to the Pike Homestead. So today we are going to talk about self-sufficiency and as I fall in a puddle. Talk about self-sufficiency and what that kind of means to us and what a self-sufficient homestead can mean for you. So self-sufficiency will usually mean being able to be self-reliant on your homestead, so you don't need any outside help or assistance with anything. So you grow all your own food, you run all your own utilities, you grow your own food for your livestock. You have your livestock, you're able to butcher your livestock, and you're able to do basically everything you need to do to survive, like make clothes and everything else on your homestead. And from there you're able to live without needing the grocery stores or your local community or anything like that. Now, when we think of self-sufficiency for ourselves and us here on the farm, we're thinking more community-driven self-sufficiency, and that's growing a lot of the stuff for ourselves, but also using and assisting with our community so that we can all share what we're really good at and also help each other when there's a need. So behind me here is where we're going to be putting our garden. Now our garden is going to be large. It's going to be about an acre of space on this 2.5 to 3 acre property patch that we have here. And the reason it's going to be an acre of food is because we have to grow a year's worth of food in 4 to 5 months here in northern Alberta in zone 3. So we have a really short growing window, so we have to grow everything all at the same time, which makes it a little difficult for those that have longer growing seasons. So we need a lot more space to be able to grow that amount of food to feed the family of 5 that we have. And of course we are plant-based as well, so we don't eat animals, and because of that we need more food and more veggies, and we need to be able to grow some grain. So this is definitely going to be the space for our food. We have a little water source just over here that we can use and tap into so we can water the plants really well. And this is also where our community comes in, because our neighbor is going to need to help us till all this up. It hasn't been used for a long time. It's just been growing and growing and growing, and we have so many weeds. It's like a lot like this. Well, not weeds, but grass and roots coming up. And for us to just dig in there and start a garden, it would take a lot of work, and we don't have time. So we need to till it up for at least the first time, just to loosen up that soil and allow us to start growing our vegetables. So that comes in really handy. We don't have a tractor, we don't have the tilling equipment. We can rent it, but our neighbor right across the street here has offered to let us use theirs, and that is fantastic. We exchanged some work with them for that, and yeah, it works. It helps out everybody. We get to help them and they get to help us, and we get to use an equipment that, you know, we don't own right now and are not likely to own for a few years yet, so it comes in really handy. So next here is livestock. So are you going to need livestock? That's going to depend on your size and what you're doing. Like I said, we're plant-based, but we still have livestock because they will be very useful for us. So we have chickens and goats, if you don't know already. And our goats, they're not for eating, they're not for milk, they're not for sales or anything like that. They're basically our pets, but they will be used to help with the management of the land. So what they're going to do is they're going to walk through, they're going to chew on all the things they need to chew and help maintain the property. And then they are going to end up and then they're going to fertilize everywhere with their droppings. So that will also help our help our ground and grass work there. And now our chickens, that's where our chickens come in next, because they are going to, Duke just pooped on the floor, and now all the chickens are like, yes, scores. So they are doing what chickens are going to do. So basically they're demonstrating exactly what I want them to be doing. So the chickens, what they're going to be doing is they are going to be going in after the goats have gone through an area, and they're going to start doing what they're doing. They might even go with the goats, and they're going to start stretching, and they're going to start really working on spreading out the manure, getting rid of any flies, and all that kind of fun stuff. We'll go outside where there's a little less cock-a-doodle-doodling. But yeah, so while they're doing that, that's helping our ground, that's making it nice and fertile so we can grow more things. We want to put in an orchard and stuff, so they're going to come in really handy for that. But when you have livestock, you need feed. So if you want to be fully sustainable, you're going to need to grow your own food. Otherwise, you're going to have to rely on your community. And we buy ours from like our local feed store. And that gives us the food we need for our chickens and our goats. We do supplement them with our own greenery and of course, the acres of food that is available to them come the spring and summer. You're going to need the space for them. And to be able to have the space, that means you're going to have to get a property big enough for whatever animals you have. If you're getting a cow, ideally they need 4 acres a month to feed a full-size cow. So how are you going to manage that? Are you going to supplement with hay? And if so, you're going to need to use your community if you don't have enough land for that cow. So you got to think about these kinds of things and what you kind of want to do. And we have this nice little pasture set up here. It's just this little kind of corral that we have that we keep the goats in, but we do want to open it up so that they can go anywhere on the property as well, which would be really good, as well as the chickens. I mean, the chickens aren't going to wander too far, neither are the goats really, but we might get some cows down the road just to help and manage the land, and maybe even some pigs, and would like them to be able to free run through the whole property just so that they can work their magic in all the spaces and then be able to corral them in when and where we need to specifically place them. But these are things you're going to need to look at. So we were lucky and we have all this set up. It was set up for cows when we bought the property. We are not having livestock cows for that purpose, but we do rent the space so that our neighbors can use it, so they can use it for their cows as well. However, we are plant-based and we are not vegan. We were vegan, but with having our chickens, we do eat the eggs here. There's actually quite a lot in here. Hey, don't start, mister. So, I think that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7. I can see an egg over there. That's 8. Might have some somewhere else. So I should have bought the basket with me to collect these today. Yeah, we're all good. So we got a nice selection of eggs there, and the 20 chickens that we have, well, 19 chickens that we have here, more than sufficiently feed us on the property. But yeah, they're loving being out and wandering around this space this morning. Excuse me, chickie chicks. Excuse me, chickie chick. I will take that. Chip, is that your egg? Is that your egg, Chip? She's the one that normally lays in the basket. And then one of our hens as well, she lays eggs in here. There you go. See, there's one. So I did have 8 eggs, but now I have 3, 4, 5, 6 eggs. Well, I had 9 eggs, I guess. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I had to give 3 to the cats because the rooster jumped up and attacked my bucket and smashed the eggs in the bucket. Because roosters. So another thing you're going to need is water. So if you just buy land, you're going to need a well. We have 3 wells on our property, which is great. One feeds the barn, one to supply the house. The water is good, definitely get it tested, but we also have a waterway, so that's really important to have as well. So just kind of, you can kind of see, woo, that darker bit right there. Just over there is the pond, so it's just back over there. You can't really see it, and I can't get over there, but see, I'm already falling in holes. But having water on your property is really good, especially if you want to be self-sufficient for your own fish. You will want to have a pond or a waterway of some kind that you can stock with fish and then breed your own fish, so you can have that. Again, we don't eat fish, so we're not bothered. So we just have the pond for our water and to water the animals and our plants, and then also to supply us in water for our pool or for whatever we need. And just look at that sky, guys. Like, ooh, let me get out of the way. So pretty. It's so nice out today. It's nice and warm. Things are melting. It's gonna be warmer tomorrow, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So we do have some grain sheds here. We're going to be knocking some of these down because, as you can see, they're pretty old. But you want to look at what's available. We have a backup one here, which is pretty solid. So that's really good for us to fill up with grain. So we could go to our local supplier here and that grows it all locally and ask them to fill that up for us, for our birds and for our goats. And that's another way to be sustainably efficient and you know, be able to kind of be self-reliant in the regards of also helping thy neighbor, right? To get started and be the most kind of set yourself up for success with being self-sufficient and self-reliant is you're gonna need to be debt-free. So you want to pay off those things, and we're not debt-free. We have a mortgage, we have a car, we have a trailer, we have credit cards. So we are working towards getting those all paid off. And our mortgage is really low, as we managed to save up a lot for that. But you need to have less debt, because the less debt you have, the less money you need to make. Also, you want to look at what your addictions are. So is it a Starbucks coffee? Is it the convenience of takeout and going out for dinner? We used to do dinner out every week. We used to do takeout, skip the dishes. That kind of thing would definitely come in if ordered. But once COVID hit and the restaurants kind of shut down and then we moved, none of those were available to us. We don't have vegan, vegetarian options here outside of like fries and salad and maybe spring rolls, So we really got that cut down real quick, and it was a little hard to start with, but after a bit of time, we were able to have that freedom of not spending that money. And I would just treat ourselves to more of like a nicer food or treat food, like a pizza or something from the grocery store, which is way cheaper, or make your own. Kids love doing that, so definitely get them involved. You're gonna have to exercise. I myself am overweight, but with the farm and being active and being able to have to walk around 25 acres and taking care of it, you're gonna lose some weight. Eating your own food as well, you're not all that takeout and everything. And all that junk food kind of goes away. So being self-sufficient will require you to be fit as well, to a degree. And then, if you're not physically able to do certain things, again, that's where your community comes in. Like, do you have a neighbor that can help you out if you need to chop wood or something like that, and you're not able to, physically chop that wood yourself? Having a fireplace for heat is wonderful, but you do need that wood. We have a lot of local kind of forest wood supply just around here, so we can easily get wood if we need it. We have quite a bit on the property that's deadfall and stuff, so we got to chop all that up, so that's going to keep us busy. But if you're going to heat with the fire, then you need the wood to do it as well, and then you also need a place to keep it. if you don't know where to keep it and it gets wet, it's not going to be any good to you either. So that's something to think about as well. Do you have enough wood on your property to be self-sufficient, or will you need to rely on somebody else to help supply that for you? Again, when it comes down to food, you're going to be wanting to look at your livestock and what is going to be necessary for you. Your consumption of meat will likely go down, and what you eat will also change. It's not going to be your standard chicken, pork, and cow. You're going to probably mix in some goat or sheep, or even just start hunting. So if you don't hunt already, you might hunt and do deer. We've got a good deer population over here. Again, we don't hunt, we don't eat any of that, but we're not against it. I think if you are going to be self-reliant, going out and hunting an animal fairly, Alberta has really good hunting laws here. So you go out and hunt your deer, you're going to use every piece of that. And that's one of the best ways to get meat for yourself. If we ate meat, we would probably have our own animals. I don't think we'd be able to slaughter them ourselves personally, so we would have to rely on somebody locally or send them to the abattoir nearby. But again, if we hunted or anything like that, that's what we would look at. We've got big property that has a lot of deer that walks by, and as we work on stuff, it's definitely going to bring that population in. Again, we don't eat that. We have no interest in it. It's that's our choice, but you make those choices. So for us to not have meat, we have to use up more land for produce and growing our own food and finding our own protein sources through that way. And that's where our chicken eggs and that come in handy. And then that means we need an acre to grow our food instead of a quarter acre or a fourth of an acre that somebody else might need for their produce. So it's definitely looking at that and your grow spaces as well. So I hope this gives you some good ideas for what you need to do if you're trying to be self-sufficient, and what that might actually look like, and what it could look like if you want to bring in community, or if you're somebody that's not going to be using animals for food. You still need animals on your homestead because they're going to help you look after and manage your property as well. You can do it yourself, but using nature and creating that natural environment and ecosystem on your own property will be far more beneficial than using tools all the time. And we kind of want to show that on our journey here. And we hope you come along and enjoy watching that and learning with us as we try it out. This is year 1. This is our first year we're actually doing anything on this property. So it's all a learning curve, and we are very excited to get it going. And let me know if you could live self-sufficient. Would you be wanting to be totally self-sufficient off the grid, out in the forest somewhere, or do you want to rely on a community and supporting that community? There's no right or wrong answer here. It's just basically down to personal preference, I think, and what is needed. Even being completely off the grid and self-sufficient, you can definitely help your neighbors, and you can definitely rely on your neighbor in a time of need as well, if you keep those communications open. So definitely worth it. And we're excited to get started, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.